If you are staring at your teenager right now, feeling completely blindsided, exhausted, and wondering if anything you are doing is actually working, it's not true. You are not failing. You've just hit a wall that every single parent in crisis eventually faces.
Welcome to the Parenting Heroes Path. I'm Amy and this is Kent. And in this video, we are going to talk about why the road to healing feels so much longer than you expected and how you find the exact hope you need to keep putting one foot in front of the other today.
A few years ago, Amy and I were going through a pretty dark, heartbreaking season with our own family. We were hit with a crisis we never saw coming, and to be totally honest with you, we felt so unprepared. We were doing our best to muddle through it. There would be moments when we felt like we were making progress, but then in the next moment, it would all come crashing down. We didn't have the right information, we didn't have the right tools, and every single day felt like a grueling hike up a mountain that we never asked to climb.
Did you say blindsided?
Blindsided.
That's such a huge part of it. Yeah.
So when you're hiking a mountain, there's a thing called the false summit. And from where you are standing on the trail, you're looking up from your perspective and you're trying to see the top. And it looks like it's right there. The end is right there.
We're so close.
We're so close. The finish line is within sight and it feels entirely reachable. And in that moment, your heart leaps. You get so incredibly excited about that perceived finish line because it represents something you desperately need. The hope of being able to finally rest for a minute, just a minute, to stop, to slow down, and to breathe a sigh of relief that the worst is behind you. But the moment you scramble up to the top of that ridge or that false summit, the illusion shatters, and you see that the actual peak is still miles away, towering above you. And that is exactly what it's like to go through a family crisis. You think a good week or a good report card or a peaceful dinner together, that's nice, it means that you finally reach the top only to realize the next morning that there's still so much further to go. It is exhausting and it makes you feel like you're never making actual progress.
Yeah, and it's like this false summit makes it feel almost worse than if you didn't have that false summit. If you were just like, we still have a long, long way to go. But because it is this feeling of, I think we've got it.
I get to rest. We're going to make it.
And then going back. Yeah. Yeah. So if you are navigating this trail right now, you cannot do it isolated. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned with us. Our whole goal here is to give you the real-time tools that you need to shift from feeling helpless to becoming the steady, equipped parenting hero your child needs right now.
Yeah. When Amy and I were at our lowest point, we realized that we had a choice. We could let that false summit totally defeat us, or we could admit that we still had a lot to learn. True influence with a struggling young adult or teen doesn't come from pretending to have all the answers or trying to be a perfect parent. The real way out of a crisis happens when we shift our approach from trying to force a quick fix to committing to the climb. We're in it. We have to learn to combat that heavy, defeatist feeling so we can guide our kids through the storm instead of getting lost in it with them.
So good. Okay, so we've got 4 things that we want to share with you that we've learned through these crises. So the first is to trade perfectionism for partnership. When our kids enter a major crisis, or our whole family does, our natural instinct as parents is to mask our fear with control. We put on armor, we project absolute certainty. We totally did this when our kids were younger. And we 100%. Act like we have this flawless roadmap out of the mess, that we know exactly what's going on. And that this is the way to make our kids feel safe. This is the thing that good parents do. But in reality, it's the exact opposite.
Ugh.
When a teenager is drowning in shame, anxiety, or destructive behavior, a parent who appears perfectly put together feels entirely unapproachable. Our kids just feel like they can't even
Talk to us.
Talk to us. Yeah. Yeah. And it sends an unintentional message. We have it all figured out. And while you, on the other hand, are a complete mess. And that's the last thing that we want to give our children. That is not the message we want. It creates this massive chasm in our relationship.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that true partnership requires the humility to drop the expert persona.
Yeah.
This feeling that we've got it all put together. And that when you drop the demand for perfection, you shift the entire dynamic of the home.
Yeah.
You aren't standing over them issuing demands. You are standing beside them, facing the mountain together. When Amy and I admitted we were unprepared and taken completely by surprise, it actually took the pressure off.
Yeah. So let's look at a scenario. Your teenager just broke a major boundary or relapsed into an old destructive habit. Let's say breaking the rules with the phone.
Okay.
If
Good
this
one.
was ever to happen to anyone.
Okay.
Okay, the first way that we might approach this as this perfectionist side, we're going to call it the prosecutor approach. You immediately go on the attack. The bad thing happens, they make the poor choice, and we go on attack. We cross-examine them. We demand explanations and things that they don't have, and we maybe say something like, how could you do this? After everything we've taught you, everything we've given you, you know better than this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not the approach that we want to take.
No.
So let's say we come to them as more of a partner approach. This is more humility. We sit down, we know the mistake has been made. They've told us, or we've caught them, or we found out some way.
They know they've made the mistake.
But they know. Yeah. And we meet them with empathy first. I know you're hurting right now. And to be honest, I'm trying to figure out the best way to handle this too. I don't have all the answers, but I love you. And we're going to figure this out, this next step together.
I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the second thing that we're going to look at, the second step, is to redefine the summit.
Yeah.
This is a big one. When we love a child who is struggling, it's completely natural to want the nightmare to be over already. We want it to be over yesterday. And because of that desperation, we unconsciously set arbitrary finish lines in our minds, some imaginary threshold of performance. We tell ourselves, okay, once they get their grades up or once they start coming back to church, whatever that is, then I can finally breathe again. Then I can exhale. Then I can be happy again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a crisis involving a teenager or a young adult is never resolved in a straight line. It's full of 2 steps forward and 1 agonizing step backwards.
Yeah.
And when you tie your emotional stability, your joy, your hope exclusively to that final permanent transformation, that finish line that you've set, you are playing a very dangerous game because you're starving your soul of oxygen on an incredibly steep climb. If you refuse to breathe until they are completely healed, you're going to pass out from sheer exhaustion on the side of the trail long before you ever even get close to that finish line.
Yeah, like I can only be happy. I can only feel like we're doing okay or my child is okay if this, and this is achieved.
Right. Yeah. Right. So we have to learn that hope isn't something that we earn at the top of the mountain. It's the fuel we need to find while we are still climbing that hope. So let's look at another scenario.
Yeah. Awesome.
So after weeks of icy silence and slammed doors, your struggling teen sits on the couch and has a relatively peaceful, nice, civil 5-minute conversation with you about nothing in particular.
Awesome.
Okay, so if you're still holding your breath waiting for that final outcome, then your response is your brain's going to immediately minimize it. You think, well, sure, they talked to me for a minute right now, but it wasn't anything deep. It wasn't anything real. They still haven't apologized to me for last week. Their room is still a disaster, and they're not back on track yet, okay? And so you refuse.
I've done that so many times.
You refuse to feel any relief because you haven't crossed that big finish line that you've set in the sky. You stay tense, rigid, and guarded.
And in reality, we'll never get there if we never allow ourselves any grace or any, like, okay, that was good. It was 5 minutes, but it was good.
Yeah, right. So that's what we're going to do with this redefined summit response. We're redefining what the end looks like, what the definition of summit is.
Yeah.
So in this response, you're going to take a mental snapshot of that moment and you're going to praise God for it. You think that was 5 minutes of peace that we did not have yesterday. That is a blessing. And you let your nervous system settle. You acknowledge that a softened tone of voice is a real, legitimate milestone in a long journey. You can even keep a blessings or a tender mercies journal, because on this grueling trail, your natural response in your brain is to pick up the negative bias, pick up the negative things that are happening, because your brain's trying to protect you. So to keep yourself going strong, you choose each evening to write down just 2 tiny things in this little journal that you keep on your phone, wherever it is. Something that went good, something that was right, something that was nice, something that was pleasant, a brief smile, a little emoji on a text that came, right? They sent me a smile. Whatever it was, that was beautiful. And when you do that, it helps you to keep your calm.
Yeah. Something else you can do is I just kind of tell myself that it's okay to exhale. I give myself permission to feel peaceful, to feel happy.
Along the way.
Right.
Even though we haven't mastered anything, nothing is perfect yet.
Right.
But we can still find joy in the journey. We can still have peace in those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Intentionally telling yourself that you don't have to have every single thing figured out for it to be okay, for it to be good.
I do not have to wait for my child to be completely fixed to experience God's peace today.
Yeah.
Right. So exhaling on the trail isn't condoning their behavior. It's preserving your strength so that you can stay on the trail, so that you can stay in the fight with him.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point about that, because a lot of times we feel like, well, if I am happy about that 5-minute conversation, then I'm negating the fact that they broke this rule over here, or that they didn't do what they said they would do with their room. But that's not true. Both things can be true. They could have that good moment with us and we can see the good, while also we're working on this over here. They are struggling over here while doing good over here.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to help us to see that good. Yeah.
Okay, so the third thing that we want to help you with is to embrace the beauty of the pivot. Realizing that we didn't have all the correct information, realizing that we were blindsided, didn't have to be a sign of failure. It can be a sign of growth. And growth can bring greater joy, but only if we're willing to open our hearts and say, what we were doing before wasn't working, and that's okay, but we're ready to learn a new way. An essential part of the beauty of that pivot is taking a step back and asking God to show you His grace and mercy, how God has been there, how His grace and mercy have attended you, and ask Him to open your eyes to where those blessings have shown up as divine moments. And as we are able to see that, it just changes how we perceive the situation, how we perceive this crisis that we were blindsided about. So, for example, it's that exact moment that you realize a strategy did not go very well, but instead of spiraling into shame, and maybe it didn't go well because you lost it mid-strategy, We've been there. But instead of spiraling into shame about it, you pause and see that God gave you the restraint to not yell back like you might typically do, and to realize that He has been fueling your growth all along. Even in these quiet, messy pivots, the weight of the mountain can begin to lift off your shoulders.
Awesome. Cool. One more step.
Yeah.
We're going to find the watering stops along the way. We often make the mistake of banking all our hope on the relief of that perceived finish line. So we pin our survival on a false summit that keeps evaporating into the distance. It's so not fair. And then we push ourselves to total exhaustion, waiting for a final victory that's always just out of reach.
Yeah.
We need to shift our thinking on this completely. Think about any type of an endurance race, like a marathon or a triathlon. The organizers of those events never expect the athletes to complete that entire course without stopping or refueling or being able to go to the bathroom, right? They set up feed stations and water stops all along the way so that they can keep their strength up. And where we live, they even set up sprayers so that they can cool off for a minute, right? So they refresh, they reset. So moving through a family crisis is an endurance event. And instead of waiting for the elusive end of the line to recover, we're going to look for pit stops throughout the journey along the way. So that means we're going to find small, intentional ways on a regular weekly basis to replenish our souls, to lean into our faith, to feed our spirit, whether that looks like a 15-minute walk in the morning out in nature or in prayer, or maybe it's a call with a trusted friend as often as you can. Maybe it's Sabbath day worship, even if it means your child's not with you, right? But finding those things that are going to refuel you. And then we want to protect those stops so that we stay strong for the hike ahead.
Yeah, protect them, and in some cases, just taking time to ponder what it is, what those stops are for us, because different things will refuel us differently.
Yep.
Yeah. Going through a family crisis will always show you your weaknesses. But remember, a parenting hero isn't a parent who never fails or never gets tired. A parenting hero is simply a mom or a dad who refuses to give up on the climb. Every time you accept that there's more to learn, you pull off at the feed stations, you rest, and show up for your child with humility. You are winning. The mountain is high, but you're getting stronger every step you take.
If you are in the middle of a family storm right now, you do not have to walk this alone. Join our free Parenting Heroes community at the link below to get support from other parents on this path. We are on this trail together, and there is a seat at the table waiting for you. See you in the next video.